Hi everyone, hope you all are good. We are here for grade 8 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab, scroll down to grade 8 math, and then click on view all lessons. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter transformation and congruence. The lessons we're going to cover today are reflections, graph the image, reflections, find the coordinates, rotation, graph the image, and rotation, find the coordinate. So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. Here I'm on grade 8 math. The chapter we're on right now is transformation and congruence. Let's just start with the lesson that is reflection, graph the image. Graph the image of k negative 1 over the reflection over the x-axis. Here is the point negative 1 and negative 1. So you have to graph the image after a reflection over the x-axis. So here is the x-axis, the highlighted line, right? So the reflected image, find the mirror on the other side of the line. Since k is 1 unit below x-axis, k dash is 1 unit above the x-axis, right? Because the original shape image is 1 point below the x-axis, so the reflected one is 1 point above the x-axis. Okay, let's just start with the test questions. Graph the image of z 10 negative 2 over a reflection of x-axis. So the point z is 2 points below the x-axis. The reflected image is 2 points above the x-axis. So option number 1 is the correct option. You can see here z dash is the reflected image of point z. Let's just start with the test questions. Okay, so option number 2 is the correct option. Graph the image of point k negative 1 after the reflection over the x-axis. So the point negative 1 and negative 1 is reflected over the x-axis. So the reflected image would be option number 1, correct option. The reflected would be option number 2 because k is 1 point below the x-axis. The reflected image would be 1 point above the x-axis. So that is option number 1. Okay, you can. Let's just move on to next lesson. Next question. Graph the image E negative 5 and 9 after the reflection over the x-axis. E negative 5 and 9 that would be reflected over the y-axis, right? So which is the option number 1 is the correct option, right? Here is E, that is 5 points on the left of y-axis, right? So the reflected would be 5 points right on the y-axis. Let's just, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next one is reflections, find the coordinates. Now we have to find the coordinates, right? The point f negative 6 negative 5 is reflected over the y-axis. What are the coordinate of the resulting point? So the point f is left of 6 points left of y-axis, right? So the reflected point would be 6 points right on the y-axis. So here it is. You have to find the coordinates now. The coordinates are 6 and negative 5. Let's just start with the test questions. The point n dash negative 3 negative 3 is reflected over the x-axis. What are the coordinates of the resulting point n dash? Negative 3 and negative 3. Here is the point n dash negative 3 and negative 3, right? That is reflected over the x-axis, so it would be 3 point above the x-axis, 1, 2, and 3. That is negative 3 and 3. Option number 1 is the correct option. Option number one is the correct option. The point h dash -1 and -6 is reflected over the y-axis. What are the coordinates of the resulting point h dash? So the point h is -1 and -6. So it would be reflected over the y-axis. So that is 1 point right to the x-axis. Then it would be 1 point left on the, that is 1 point left on the y-axis. Then it is 1 point right on the x-axis. So that is 1 and -6. Option number one is the correct option. The point C, -1 and -2 is reflected over the x-axis. What are the coordinates of the resulting point C dash? The reflected point over the x-axis is -1 and 2. Option number 2 is the correct option. The point Z, -2, 5 is reflected over the y-axis. What are the coordinates of the resulting point? That is 2 and -5. Option number 1 is the correct option. Oh, that is 2 and 5, sorry. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let's just move on to next lesson. Next lesson is rotation, graph the image. Graph the image of M41 after a rotation of 270 degree clockwise around the origin. So 270 degree is 3/4 of a full turn. So 270 degree clockwise is same as 90 degree counterclockwise. So you can think of a rotation as 1/4 of a full turn in the counterclockwise direction, right? Or either you rotate 270 degree or clockwise, or either you rotate 90 degree counterclockwise. That is exactly same. Start with the point M41. That is the point actually. You have to rotate the point 270 degree clockwise. The point will move to quadrant 1 to quadrant 2 to find the exact location. Imagine 0, 0 and M forming opposite corners of a box. Rotate the box keeping 0, 0 corner fixed. This is the fixed corner. You just have to move this point over here. So that is now, the coordinates are now -1 and 4, right? 4, 1, they are now negative. Let's just start with the test questions. Okay, graph the image N25 after a rotation of 90 degree counterclockwise around the origin. N is 2 and -5, and 90 degree counterclockwise, that is the point. Keeping, you have to rotate. Option number 1 is the correct option. This point is fixed. You have to move this point, right? No, that is not the correct option. Option number 2 is the correct option. This point is fixed. You have to move this point. So option number 2 is the correct. 0, 0 is fixed. You have to move 90 degree counterclockwise. So it will be moved from quadrant 4 to quadrant 1. So this point is fixed. You just have to move this point. So that is 5, 2 and 5. Option number 1 is 2 is the correct option. Got it? Let's just start with the test question. Let's just move on to next one. Graph the image of L -7 0 after a rotation of 180 clockwise around the origin. -7 and 0. You have to move 180-degree clockwise. So to clockwise 180 or either you go clockwise 180. That is exactly the same, right? The point is -7 and 0. So when you number 2 is the correct option. Option number 2 is the correct option, not 1. Graph the image P76 after rotation of 180-degree counterclockwise around the origin. So the point is 7 and 6. So I think option number 2 is the correct option. Hold on. 7 and 6. Now -7. Yes, option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is rotations, find the coordinates. The point L -2, 4 is rotated 180-degree clockwise around the origin. What are the coordinates of the resulting point L dash? So 180 degrees is the half of the full turn, right? The point L is -2, 4, keeping the point 0, 0, 2 fixed. You have to move the point L 180 degrees. So now the L dash has the coordinates 2 and -4. Let's just start with the test question. The point B 2 -4 is rotated 180-degree clockwise around the origin. What are the resulting coordinates B dash? Here is B 2 -4, right? It would be moved 180-degree clockwise. So now the new coordinates are -2 and 4. Option number 1 is the correct option. It would be moved in the second quadrant. Option number 1 is the correct option. The new coordinates are -2 and 4. The point K, the point P -6, -4 is rotated 270-degree counterclockwise around the origin. What are the coordinates of the resulting point P dash? Here is the point P. It would be -4 and 6. Option number 2 is the correct option. The point D is -6, -5 is rotated 270-degree clockwise around the origin. What are the coordinates of the resulting point D dash? -6 and -5. 270-degree rotation, that would be moved to second quadrant, right? So 5 and 6, option number 1 is the correct option. Option 1 is the correct option, sorry. The correct option is that is 90-degree rotated counterclockwise. So that is 2 and 1. Option number 1 is the correct option. The point Q, negative 1 and 6 is rotated 180-degree counterclockwise around the origin. What are the coordinates of the resulting point Q dash? Option number 2 is the correct option. Got it? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So we were working on grade 8 math. The chapter we're working on is transformation and congruence. The lessons we have covered today are reflections, graph the image, reflections, find the coordinates, rotation, graph the image, and rotation, find the coordinates. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we just did. That is your homework until next session. So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can simply click on the live chat button. Tutors are available there to help you, or either you can write down the questions in the chat box. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. Any questions? You can please ask questions if you have any. No questions? Okay, then that's all. See you in the next session. Bye, everyone.